G'day, my name is Elfreda, Jonker. I'm the Client Portfolio Manager at Alphinity Investment Management. Today I have Trent with me. He's one of our global portfolio managers and also covers the technology and communication sectors. So Trent, we just finished the first quarter 25 reporting season.
Yeah.
Can you share a few highlights for us?
Goodness, it was one hell of a reporting season. It was very, very messy and quite weak, as a whole range of companies just really try and grapple with what the tariffs mean for them. And so we even saw some different approaches from different companies. Some just put in policy settings as they were, some took a worst case scenario. And so it just created an incredible choppiness in terms of the outlooks, and also just a whole lot of uncertainty. It was almost like a washing machine when you were looking at what could actually wash through the earnings. On top of that, there were some very specific industry policies as well that were also creating an impact, whether that be on semiconductors or healthcare, which is normally a bit of a safe haven in more difficult markets.
Yes.
They just had a whole range of policies just wash through a whole bunch of those sub-industries. So very tough, relatively weak, seeing downgrades come through, but there were some areas that weren't that bad.
Okay, so if we tilt it towards your sector and specifically the Mag-7, we all know they were the major driver of markets last year, fell a bit earlier this year, and now they've recovered again. What do you make of them?
Yeah, look, the Mag-7 is a really interesting space. So what we've seen in general is that for the last 1 to 2 years, they really have driven almost the entire market. And you could almost buy them like an amorphous block. They all tended to go up. But what we've seen is a weakening in terms of that leadership across the Mag-7, but then also a real delineation regarding the performance and the momentum between the individual stocks. So if we have a look through that Q1 reporting season, the one that stood out, Microsoft, that result was fantastic. That was Azure, their cloud business, getting that re-acceleration. That 35% growth was incredibly impressive and above expectations. If you come down to the next block, Amazon, the result was good, but the guide was quite weak. There were some issues in margin, and maybe AWS was a bit on the light side. Meta was solid, but I think the really interesting piece is when you go down towards some of the companies just showing a little bit of what could be some structural weakness. So Apple, the result was quite weak. Apple Intelligence hasn't been great in terms of a rollout. So we're probably not going to get that Apple upgrade cycle driven by AI. And there are some risks emerging around their services business, whether that's the $25 billion a year they get from Google, or pressure on App Store to open up and not take that 30% clip of revenue. So that's an issue for Apple. And then probably the most vexing one, that we no longer own, Google. So have been a leader in AI for about a decade, but their execution this time around hasn't been great. And what we are starting to see is evidence that some of that search share is starting to leak away. And it's not just informational, it's also in terms of commercial search. And so that's 50 billion out of the 90 billion on a per quarter basis in terms of revenue, but a lot more in terms of profitability. So Apple and Google are the two that are facing just some structural issues that are constraining that earnings momentum at the moment.
So Microsoft's still your top pick?
Microsoft, the top pick. They really have their legs under them. AI is performing well. That cloud growth really came back. They were the absolute standout in terms of reporting season this time around.
Well, great. Thank you very much, Trent. And for more information, please visit us on alphinity.com.au. Thank you.
Thank you.